Welcome everyone to the second session of this ICW pre-launch series organized by ICF Professional Coaches. We are very happy to welcome you from all over the world today for an amazing session with Anna Palm from IKEA. So let me introduce you our speakers, but before doing that, just a little housekeepings. Please stay in mute mode until the presentations are finished. We will open a Q&A session around 15 minutes before the end so that you have possibilities to ask your questions. We would love you to send your questions on the chat to keep the quality of this call that is recorded. So feel free to send any of your questions in the chat box. We'll monitor that, collect the questions, and then make sure they are shared with our speakers today. So we are pleased today to welcome three amazing ladies. So let's start with Anna Palm, who is our main guest speaker today. Anna Palm is a leadership and competence developer at IKEA of Sweden AB. She has an economical background and some behavioral science studies, and Anna works with IKEA since 2004 in the HR field. She's got a dedicated focus on leadership development, and that includes hiring future potential managers, senior leadership development, but also teams management. Change management has been a focus area for Anna since 2006, so it was very natural for her to become a professional coach in 2008. Anna is an ICF PCC certified coach since 2012, and she has now started educating herself to become a coaching supervisor. We also have today with us Magda Mook. She brings experience in fundraising, coaching and consulting, and association management. She is the CEO and Executive Director of the International Coaching Federation, where she acts as a partner to ICF's Global Board of Directors. Magda is a trained professional coach as well and a systems facilitator. And last today with us, Linda McLoughlin, Vice Chair of the ICF Professional Coaches Board. Linda is an MCC award-winning international coach and mentor, specialized in coach training, leadership development, executive education, managing change, gender intelligence, and team building. She served as a member of faculty at the Business School of the American University of Sharjah for 6 years. She's based in the Middle East. She provides facilitation, executive education, and coaching to large state enterprises. So, ladies, welcome with us today. And Anna, please join us and present how IKEA is using ICF-certified in-house coaches for growing people and business while becoming a coaching organization.
Thank you very much, Isabel. It's so nice to be here and to meet all of you. And I just said here before you entered the room, I would like to spend some time to get to know you, all of you, all 191. So, and I would like also, Isabel, if I'm running out of time, give me a sign, please. So I can just focusing on what I would like to share. Yeah. I just would like to share with you that I am living in Älmhult, where IKEA was founded for many years ago. And IKEA has been a part of my whole life. And I am very, very confident in this is the best way of giving our co-workers, leaders, managers a possibility to develop. So I still remember the day I entered the place where I took my first ACC education, and it was the first sign I saw, we changed the world. And I felt like, oh, wow. But I have to admit that coaching is really changing the world. And I have a strong belief that this is really a way of unleashing people's potential to become better, feel better, and deliver and develop better. So connected then to IKEA, what does that mean? Very simple. we are using our in-house coaches exactly as if you would have been approached from someone from outside. I think that differs a bit from us to others. I don't know, it's probably some of us is doing in a similar way, but that is really differs us from other some of the other companies how we do it. So even if we are in-house, we work exactly in the same way. We even have this agreement, but we have taken out all the money, you know, but we are making everything from the agreement to follow up. So we are working exactly as you do, as if you go into as an external coach. I just want to mention this. So a little bit back, if we can click, Isabel. Because coaching is really back to where we come from. Our vision is creating a better everyday life for the many people. Company has a tendency to change the vision depending on development and the world and all different things that are happening. This vision is really, really old. It's in the end of 1940s, that Ingvar made up this vision. And I think it is because it's so simple and you can apply it on everything from our customers, consumers, to us, ourselves. And for me, I think when I am a coach for my colleagues, leaders, all the people in IKEA, I'm really a part of creating a better everyday life for them. And then below, you see our key values for IKEA. And those has developed, but only because we needed to have a more modern language. But if you read them and you can see togetherness, it's about coaching. Caring for people or planet, it's about coaching. Cost consciousness, it's about coaching. Simplicity, and you can see you can just move on. All of them is covering by coaching. So for me, being an internal coach and work with having a coaching approach within the company is really living up to what we believe in. So just then how we do it a little bit more. So we can click. When we then see, right now in the moment we talk, we have about click 60 coaches in the global coach pool, but I know that we have ongoing 20 more because we have really put some effort into this, because we have seen the last 5 years, and that I have to say that I have some colleagues that has done a tremendous effort and a great work to make this take a spot within the big organization. So that's also the reason that where we put a lot of resources in to find more potential coaches that can go through the ACTP training. So coach 60 certified coaches for today. And then we have also work with regional coach pools, which means that we have, for example, if there is not nowadays, because now we never meet face to face, but it has been a time in life where we did that, and it will probably come back to work also on the regional, where we sense that we need to have more face-to-face coaching. And we have a community of network within IKEA, which I think is really important. We work with mentor coaching, and we work also, as Isabel was mentioning here, we are just about to train ourselves to become coach supervisors. So we are a little bit more handful of those 60 that is train ourselves to become also coaching supervisors. And I have to say that to be coach, you need someone to support you. So I think that is a good intention. And because then you can also air what has happening in the relationship with the coachee, as we call it, or client. Because sometimes it's really heavy what we get in our laps, as I know that all of you here know that it is. And to have someone to air and also get your support in this, I think that is a good step for us. And then we work with continuously having coaching trainings, because I think that is important. And you, as you know, that we need to keep up our training. I can just be very honest and say, in the beginning, I felt like, "Oh, do I need to take all those trainings to keep up my certification? Oh my God, it takes so much time." But to be truly honest, I think it's good. Because it's so easy to fall back and do something else than it's coaching, because we want to share. Very human is to share your view. We believe that we help. So I think that is really good that we need to have the continuous coach training. And then if we click, we will talk a little bit about the impact that we have seen the coaching has done. Okay, click one time. And then we can put this movie, because here is a client that will share a little bit what she has experienced for us.
Hey, my name is Christina and I'm a coachee, and I was asked by Bara to tell you a little bit more how actually coaching has contributed to my own development so far. If I should highlight a little bit of what I think it has brought me so far the most, I would say first of all it has been actually a learning process how to reflect and how to use my strengths in order to actually develop and find what is it where I'm really strong at and where is it that I want to really develop into. Second of all, I think it has shown an interesting and powerful tools. How can I actually reflect upon different dilemmas and situations? And last but not least of all, it has brought up actually some of my fears, and it has been a continuous process how to actually face them and overcome them, which has not ended yet, but still, it was super important to at least realize them, talk about them, and by the triggering questions of the coach, somehow find a way how can I actually work with those fears. So overall, it has been a fantastic learning journey so far, and I am really happy that I can continue even further with the coach.
Thank you, lovely Christina. I think this is kind of also confirm what if we're looking for what we have seen the impact. It is really a definition of success, because we have seen that people we create more self-confidence and better self-awareness. And as Christina was saying, it's also time for reflection, because I mean, I can schedule a lot, I aiming to schedule a lot of time for reflection in my agenda. But what often happens is that something comes in between. But if I sit with someone, then I need to do it. It's also, we can see that the performance is going up, and we were talking about this yesterday, and I have to admit that in some coach talks, it feels like someone is really listening to me. It's so easy, in brackets, that someone is really listening to me. I think that's amazing, that the power of having someone that is listening, but also a bit sad, because that also says something about uh, us in everyday life, how much we're not listening. We are just running and want to say what we are supposed to say, and not really give each other the time to be listening to. So connected to that, it's also, we have seen that the reduce of stress and also the life balance, and also the higher motivation, because you often explore what's possible. And very often you, as you know, you explore what you thought was not possible. And I think the confidence that we have seen when we have started to really what should I say, offer this in a broader perspective, but sometimes also in smaller teams, so to say, that this has been better way of handling both business and people. And of course, different perspective. I think that is so, so important. At least when you are little bit stressed, you often put on this funnel and then you just see right straight ahead and you can't really see different ways of doing things. So this is the impact we have experienced and seen in the business and people, and who doesn't want that? So we can click. Then just before I open up for a little bit of questions and I would like to just share a little bit more how we do it. As I said, we have a coach pool and that is presented in our homepage. So that is one way that people can find us. We also have different trainings where we recommend the participants to have a coach. And sometimes, depending on the training, we recommend them first to take maybe a mentor, depending on their maturity. And then in the second step, take the coaching. What we also do is that we, as I said in the beginning, it's very important for us to act and use all the competencies that we are supposed to use. So that's why we also have a big network within IKEA with us, because I think we really need to support each other to not forget about what we are here to do. What we can do, which could be a little bit different to if we take in an external coach, is that sometimes or much more often, maybe, I say, is it okay for me to step out from the coach role to give you just a tip? I mean, it would be weird if someone is looking for something that I know exactly where to find it, as we are both working for IKEA. But I think we need to be really careful and make it visible when we step out from the coach role, and maybe giving a tips or advice or who to connect with if you're looking for this, instead of sitting maybe 2 or 3 coach sessions and try to coach the person to find the right person or the right tool or the right, whatever. So I think we need to be careful about it, but we also should gain something from it, if you see what I mean. What we also do, as you probably doing, is we have the first get to know each other talk. So we want to make really, really sure that the person feel like I can open up for you. In this first talk, we also explore what coaching is. We talk about the goal, as you also do. But what is most important here is, because, when you are working for the same company and you meet the coach that is also working in the same company, for us, it's really important to highlight that we are coaching a whole person. Because very often it could be like, now I can only talk business topic because we work for the same company. But as coaches, that's not possible, because you are one person and your personal life has an impact on your professional life. Your professional life has an impact on your personal life. So we need to coach the full person. And sometimes it is only about personal life, but as it has a great impact on the business, we also feel it really valuable for the person to be coached in personal topics as well. So I have probably missed a lot that you're curious about. So I would rather open up a little bit for questions here, if that's possible.
Thank you so much, Anna. I think Magda and Linda probably already have some questions ready for you, which we would love to ask you before we open the Q&A to the public. And please, if you have questions, feel free to send them in the chat. There are plenty of questions, Anna, so we can have a very active discussion. I'm really trying to compile them all. So let's see the first questions coming up with Linda and Magda, and then we'll take it up with all the questions you've asked. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm really enjoying your case study, so rich. And I love to hear that you're moving into supervision, that your coaches are all about coaching the whole person. Wonderful there. Now, I'm keeping an eye on the chat as well. And people are wondering, how do you select your coaches? Are you looking for a particular profile or function? The other thing people are wondering is, who is the coaching open to in terms of which staff can avail of it as clients? And another area coming up is, do you use a particular model or process?
Thank you. Great questions. Thank you. First of all, coaching is for everyone. We went into the trap in the beginning, 2008, where we thought that we should coach the top management. No. Coaching is for everyone. And if I look into the people I coach right now, I can say I have one person that is working in the store, and I have one person that is in the top management, and everything in between. So coaching is for all, for us. Who is needed it or wanted it, they are open to connect with us. And as you know, we need the coach hours as well. So that is good. And then what was it more, Linda, you said?
How you select the coaches themselves? Are you looking for a particular profile? Are they from HR or across the organization?
Good question as well. First of all, we want to make sure that they are ready to spend 10% of their working hours to be coached, because that's what we signed up for when we get the training. And then the second is that we also really want to make sure that they have a motivation and a passion to see other people grow. And for that, we have some interview questions to ask them to make sure that, are you here because of your own sake, or are you really here because you want to support other people? I think that's crucial, to not just have it on your CV, because that is of course nice as well, but that's not what we're aiming for. And then what I didn't mention before is in our intranet, all of us coaches has a short presentation on who we are, where we come from, what we believe in, so they get something when they are about to choose a coach as well.
Great that you've opened it up, because often I think it's seen as an extension of the HR function, which of course it is, but it's a bit limiting when we just leave it to the HR people. So wonderful. I'll hand over to Magda for some follow-up questions.
Thank you, Linda, and thank you, Anna. Great case study. Isabel, may I ask you to stop sharing so we can see Anna's face? There, and everybody's, hi everybody, wow. Suddenly the word opened up. Welcome to the session. I was looking into chat as well, Anna, and I have to say that a huge area of my interest and passion is ethics of coaching. And there are some very good questions in the chat, especially around the trust and confidentiality. How do you ensure that, sometimes since we work for the same company, am I open enough to talk to internal coach who also is my colleague and maybe working for somebody else who has decision-making powers, and what is an agreement at the top level for the organization of sharing information, if at all?
We are under ICF rules, which means that we have 100% confidentiality. And never ever, even if it has happened, a manager connect with me and say, I know you're coaching my coworker. What? Yeah, I'm sorry, I have confidentiality. I can't say anything. Talk to your coworker, and if the coworker wants, we can have a free party meeting, but not So that is kind of out of question for us.
Mhm.
No hidden agenda, and we even sign the contract where we spell it out about our confidentiality. In the beginning, we were thinking, do we really need a paper because we don't need anything because of money or something? But I can just sense that I do never ever want a coachee go out from a talk and say, oh, why did I say this? Or something like that, because they should know that I mean, then I will broke my ethics as a coach, and then from my point of view. So I think that is really something that we talk with each other a lot. We are fortunate enough to have so many people, so it's very seldom that I coach someone that I work close to.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's great. Thank you. And the other thing you said, which really caught my attention, was the requirements for the individual to become a coach, to be considered in the pool, and also continuous education for coaches. From our research with Human Capital Institute on coaching cultures, we do know that this is absolutely essential for the success of a coaching program, for internal coaches to be educated as well as external coaches maybe. So kudos to IKEA for bringing it to the conversation. And there is a question that just popped up, and this is one of the trends that we're observing lately, and it is about using more of group and team coaching. Are you doing that as IKEA?
Yes, we do. We have it. I can see like this, that is also a trend. We're using it a lot around 2012, 2013, even 14, and that is it disappeared a bit, and now it's on top again. Those trends is doing like that, and we have several ways of doing it. One is that I don't know if you know. No, you don't, because you don't. Yeah, sorry. Forget that. It was a Swedish program, so I shouldn't even mention it. When you are a little bit hesitant to know what you want to do as the next step, then we have a program that called self-managed learning, where we have a group of people, and that should be a group of people that doesn't know each other from before, and that is possible within IKEA. Because we are having so many coworkers, and then we are working with a professional coach to coach them. But what also happened, because we are working with 5 questions: where do I come from? Where am I now? Where do I want to go? How do I get there? How do I know that I have reached my goal? So they have tasks to work during, in between our meetings, and then we meet. And the good thing is that I, as a coach, I only need to be coach for the first 2 sessions. Then they really start to be curious, asking each other questions. So we get kind of that for free, that they understand the power of asking questions to each other. So that is one way. Then we have another. It's about when it comes to handling conflicts. That we are looking into again. We have done it before. It could be, sometimes could be just free party, but then it could be sometimes a full team. There is something, the elephant in the room, because very often if there has been a conflict for a while, people has also tendency to stop listening because they think that he or she will say exactly the same thing that he or she has said before. To just have a person that is highlight what is being said, dare to also express what is happening in the room, dare also, to use your intuition as a coach to ask those questions to make them come to a better term with each other. So that is what's in our, in our agenda right now when it comes to group coaching. This can also be developed where we have just touched for now when it comes to team development. We are pendling maybe as other big companies is doing when it comes to team development. how many teams do we have? We should work agile. We should be everywhere at the same time. Do we really still have a team? Yeah, all those kind of things. But we are looking into it if it is also something that we can use connected to team development.
That's fantastic. That's really quite a comprehensive approach to your coaching culture. You said in the title of the presentation, IKEA is a coaching organization. So before we open up to the entire room for additional questions, Linda, may I turn back to you? And Linda and I, on behalf of ICF, would like to very briefly share some of the trends that we see in the coaching world right now, and also the impact of the pandemic on the coaching profession. Linda?
Thanks, Magda. And really, I think what we've heard from Anna resonates with what we're seeing at the global level. And the first thing is that coaching is growing in organizations. And our recent global study, as you know, we do a global study of the coaching profession every 4 years. And our last one was just published in 2020. And what we have seen is a phenomenal growth in the last 4 years around coaching. So first of all, it is now a $2.8 billion industry, and that is up 21% on what it was 4 years ago. We've also seen a 33% rise in the estimated number of coaches, professional coaches worldwide, to about 71,000. And it's wonderful to think that we currently have a membership base of about 45,000. So we're very strong in representing those coaches out there. And, you know, the other thing we're noticing is record membership numbers in ICF itself. We were not sure last year with the effects of the pandemic how things would go with renewals and attracting new members. And it's fair to say the last 2 years, we have seen phenomenal growth. And I think when you combine that data, it's telling us that this profession isn't going away. We're getting stronger. And perhaps the newest thing we've seen in the last 4 years is this sort of hybrid coach emerging. So particularly in organizations where managers and leaders realize that coaching skills, they may not be working full-time as coaches, but they see the power of coaching skills as they are leading and managing teams, particularly in times of crisis and chaos like we are today. So the industry itself expanding, I think that's great news, and wonderful to see really big brands like IKEA on board with that. I think the second thing goes to Anna's point around team coaching, that it is one of the really growth niches right now. And I think what's happened is the move to remote working means that, you know, leaders, organizations are looking for ways to engage, connect, align teams remotely, and particularly, you know, how to make those teams very agile, because the lead-in time for any change now is just getting shorter and shorter. And just as you will all know, that the ICF published new team coaching, specific team coaching competencies last year based on extensive research with team coaches like the IKEA ones also, I'm sure, Anna. And, you know, our credentialing family organization is currently looking into perhaps having a micro-credential for experienced and credentialed coaches. So that's something that we have in the pipeline. And I think finally, you know, another big trend I'm noticing, and this would not just be from ICF research, but, you know, I'm a solopreneur, I'm a practicing coach and mentor coach and coach training provider myself. And what I'm seeing in the market is the emergence of niches. And, you know, first of all, yes, let's train and be professional as ICF coaches. But I think what we're seeing is a kind of a trend on the client side for specializations. Business coaching is still the biggest niche out there, and there are emerging niches all the time. And I think what we also see is some coaches may have different niches for different markets at different times. So it doesn't mean you're just pigeonholed in one area. And the biggest thing, I think, in terms of, niches is that we now have global reach. You know, I'm an Irish woman living in the Middle East, and I would have called myself an expat coach. But now I think we're all expat online coaches, because the world is our market. And, you know, I've just noticed, and I'm sure many of you have, that we are attracting clients, you know, globally now. And again, that is something, you know, Anna mentioned a lot about the ongoing professional development of coaches and how important it is. And I think this whole cultural awareness and being aware of the context of our clients is really, really important now as we move into that more global marketplace. So they would be my three, Magda.
Thanks, Linda. And as I was listening to Anna, I was like, this is a poster child for growing coaching cultures in organizations, because in our work with Human Capital Institute, or HCI, we've been doing a series of studies on coaching cultures in organizations. We even developed an index that indicates the level of alignment of the company with the strong coaching cultures. And IKEA seems to be checking absolutely every box right there. And the main points in building strong coaching cultures is the executive support for coaching cultures, the recognition of people within the organization that coaching does make a difference. Very important piece, coaching being available to everybody throughout the enterprise. It's not reserved only to some niches or pockets of the organization. There is a dedicated budget line item for coaching. And finally, coaches are having ability to continue their professional growth. So again, 6 of 6, congratulations, IKEA. But what we do know from those studies is, much to what Anna was telling us, is that organizations with strong coaching cultures typically enjoy much greater engagement of their employees. And we all know, we hear these horror stories about such a low engagement of employees these days. According to Gallup, I think it was only 33% only a couple 3 years ago. So it's also not surprising that the greater engagement of employees translates into better financial results for the organization. What we also know from our studies, and that one was probably the most exciting for me, was one of our latest studies with HCI, and it had to do with the linkage between coaching and change management. As we all know, just majority of all organizations are in some level of change initiative, right? The only constant is change. We all heard that cliche. And yet we also know the majority of this change initiatives fail. And our research with HCI suggests that coaching is one of the most important and potent modality to sustain change initiatives. So this is something that we're seeing more and more, that organizations are bringing together strategic directions for the organization, change management, expertise, and coaching for the best results within the organizational construct. So much to what Anna said, much to what is Linda was saying, that there is a great potential still for coaching being utilized within organizations for great results. Somebody in the chat asked if these reports are available. Yes, they are. Please visit coachingfederation.org and go to our research part of it. You will see the industry research, or ICF research, and HCI research is available. Executive summaries are available to all members at no fee. What both Anna and Linda touched just a little bit, which is another trend that we're seeing, is the increased application of supervision, coaching supervision. and that is also the ICF in being finishing stages of developing best practices and competencies for coaching supervision. And that's something that, as Anna said, it's so important for coaches to also be supported in their journey. And I will very briefly touch upon the COVID impact on coaches. We did 2 studies with PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, one in 2020, right about mid-year, and then we repeated it earlier this year. There is good story and not so good story. The not so good story is that there is still a fairly significant number of coaches who responded to the study, and they were both ICF members and non-ICF members. And we did have over 10,000 people responding to both of the studies. That said, that they did see the decline in their numbers of clients, number of hours they worked, which ultimately translated into the declined revenue. However, our most recent study, which will be released within days, literally, points into a great recovery in a coaching marketplace, much to what Linda was saying. I think that the early dip was caused by many organizations that were utilizing coaching, thinking, oh, it's going to take, a month or two, that pandemic thing, and then we're going to get back to normal. So they were postponing. They were not canceling. They were postponing their initiatives, and now they are back fully with coaching. So good optimism within the coaching profession as well, based on this PwC COVID impact study. And also what we see is that there is a tremendous interest amongst coaches in truly supporting people impacted by the pandemic the most. So we saw a huge growth in the offerings of pro bono coaching and supporting social progress through coaching. That coaching impact on social progress organizations is something that it's happening a lot, and we see it a lot with coaching amplifying and accelerating social progress. And also, very last thing I mentioned, because before we open it up to your question, is that ICF is working hard on bringing, as you know, we made a statement about coaching being in support of climate crisis, and then we made a statement about coaching and ICF in particular being against violence and for and against any discrimination against any type of diversity. So we are working hard on incorporating the diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice in the all aspects of the operations of the ICF as an organization, and ultimately hoping for an impact of those positioning to the profession of coaching. So thank you again, Anna. Super. I mean, there is so much rich information, and I know there are a gazillion of questions coming your way. Thank you for indulging Linda and I to share a little bit what we see in a marketplace. And I guess, Isabel, it's back to you and Anna for answering some additional questions.
Thank you so very much, Magda. And since I see in the chat that some people may be interested by having the first preview of the 2021 study, which is about to come, feel free. I'm just sharing a link in the chat now. Magda is going to do a first preview for all of you next week at the occasion of International Coaching Week on May the 18th. It's a free webinar. So if you want to know everything about these new results, feel free to register. The link is in the chat box. So let's go back, because there are plenty of questions. So I don't know myself where to start with, but I think there is one that we haven't covered yet, Anna, is how do you measure success of coaching? Do you have KPIs?
What's so fun that was because I took the opportunity to scroll through a little bit now, and that was the first one I wrote here.
Good. We're connected. You are connected. Wonderful.
Because that is the hot topic, I have to say. It has been, how can we measure a feeling? How can we measure that someone has better self-confidence? How can we measure that someone is performing? We can, but that's so. I have to say, we have even had a study group to find out with a bunch of engineers within the company to really look into how can we measure this. We haven't finished that study yet, but we will continue to see, because as I know, if we can show up KPIs, if we can really show this is the difference with numbers, we will probably have an even more smoother way to make things happen. As that's how it is. We as a business, and we need resources, otherwise we will not survive. So we are trying our best to find out a way, but it isn't easy. I don't know if you have any suggestion, let me know.
Thank you very much. Well, there's another question that actually comes several times in the chat is, so if we understand well, IKEA trains their employees to become coaches. They also sometimes work with local coaches, but do they ever hire external coaches or coaches that they haven't themselves invited to train?
Absolutely. I mean, sometimes people have someone or have get to know someone or just don't want to have an internal coach. Then of course that's the possibility. I mean, we have a budget for each person for development every year. How we use that is pretty much up to them. But we don't have a process or an open way of having external coaches. But I think sometimes it's really important to have that as well. And of course, I have my own little network to benchmark with external coaches, with other coaches that is not within IKEA, because I think otherwise it will be, then we can fool ourselves and start to think that we know it all, and that we know that you know it much better. By listening both to Linda and Magda now, I really can sense that we need to be on our toes and not think that now we have developed a bunch of coaches, now we know how to do it. No. Keep up and benchmark with each other, but also sometimes we're using external coaches.
Thank you, Anna. Just wanted to rebound on something that Sarah put in the chat. She says that my thoughts around measurement of coaching success is to ask the coaches to benchmark the things that are important to them and rate them at the beginning and the end. So it's not a question, it's just and yeah.
Sarah.
And Romeo was also putting in the chat that if you can't measure something, then you can't improve it.
No, I know. So absolutely. And as you were listening to Christina here, this is what we have done. We have been video filmed a lot of our coachees, clients, to ask them to describe what's the difference for them and what impact has it made on you and on your work. And I think that could be powerful, but also to find out KPIs as well. But I don't want to say anything more about it, as we are just in the start to figure out how to do it right now.
Thank you. I have two other questions from other organizations, and one saying that they have been on your journey for the past few years, and would you do anything differently? And for an organization to start this journey, and I think that's what John puts on the chat, is the only certified coach for the largest freight railroad in the US, to 38,000 employees, and they would like to extend as well to an internal coaching program. Should we really open up to all employees if there is only one coach? How do we do these things? And also there was rejoining the same question is, what would be your number one recommendation for success?
Thank you. Just going back, we did a mistake in the beginning by thought that our target group is top management. For me, I think that doesn't make sense when you think about the values connected to coaching. For me, coaching is for everyone. But if you only have one coach, what I would recommend, and that is like who has a good impact to make things happen in the company, is this person or those persons open to be coached, to try out, just to make it get going, to be a little bit smart, who has a big impact?
Thank you. Rejoining the same question, Anna, do you encourage leaders at IKEA to also use coaching with their teams as
Yes.
well?
Yes, absolutely we do. And we also, I mean, we are working with professional coaching, but we're really aiming to have leaders that has a coaching approach. And situational leadership, all this, sometimes you need to be directive and sometimes you can ask questions and make people find out themselves. And I think the biggest gap in leadership is to listen and ask questions. To tell people what to do, that's no problem. So we have some trainings where we really train our managers to become better in doing that.
Thank you very much. I have another interesting question, and it also rebounds on something you said in your presentation, Anna. Someone with us today saying that she or he thinks that the mentoring first versus coaching is very interesting. Could you say a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sometimes, when you are new to such a big company that IKEA is, start by asking questions when you are totally confused and can't even find the bathroom. Now I exaggerate a bit, but when sometimes you really need a mentor that can advise you and tell you what mistakes the person did when they were new, and also share their network, connect with this person, the typical mentorship. That is needed when you are in the beginning in the company or in the beginning in a new position maybe. And because it could only, I have strong belief in coaching. I think it works all the time somehow. But maybe if you have got all those advices and all this, and you're ready to start to really navigate yourself and get the questions and get all what you can gain from coaching, I think we have seen that has been really, really good to treat it like this. But this is the best of the worlds. That's not always the case. But when it works really well.
Thank you very much, Anna. There's also quite a lot of questions about how you implemented that coaching program, in which countries, what's the timeline for the rollout. So do you know in which countries? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
All countries where IKEA is existed in is offering coaches. Because now, before the pandemic, we had coaching via phone. Mostly I was only coaching via phone. And I have to say that is really, really powerful. Because you had to use totally different senses when you meet the person or have it in front of you on the screen. I have to say my best coaching has been via phone. Because you can hear so much, people breathing, people are, there's so many things that you can really sense, that you have to sense when you don't see them. So that's why we can also offer it globally within IKEA.
Thank you. And Anna, I'm going to ask the question because it has been put several times from the same person in the chat. So I think it's an important one for that person is, Anna, can setting expectations change the real need of a coachee?
Of a coachee, the expectations of the coachee.
So the question is, can setting expectations change the real needs of a coachee?
Yeah, absolutely. That happens because I have to admit that very often when I go into this first get to know each other, and I start to share about what coaching is and what they can expect, they are very often like, oh, okay, but can't you give me any advice? No. And then we explore that, as I was sharing from before, if there is an area that I know very well, of course I can step out and just say that, but that's not what it is about. And it has happened that people have become hesitant when they understand what coaching is. But then they're still curious and want to try it out. And I have to say that the more hesitant people are, the more powerful it is. But also you need to be brave as a coach to keep on to your coach role, that even if someone sometimes continue to ask you, but what would you done? I don't really know, but that really just push back. And I think at least I need to be brave to do that.
Thank you so much, Anna. I will actually close this conversation, which was very interesting, and I really thank you for being with us today, with a question that is actually also open to you, Magda and Linda, for feedback. And I think it's an important question regarding the rollout of these kind of programs in multiple countries. Someone asked if it is managed locally between IKEA and ICF chapter or training providers locally in each country, or if it's something that is managed on a global level from HQ. So I think the question comes to you, but also to you, Magda and Linda, to answer. So I think it's a great question to finish. Thank you.
Should I answer? Because I don't really know, to be honest.
Well, Magda, do you want to take the floor on that? Because we're a resource, of course. We are always there to support, but...
Thank you. I think it very much depends. It depends on the organization. I know of 3 different approaches. I would hesitate to make them, even call them models, just approaches. I know of organizations that are sourcing their coaches primarily from a training provider. And oftentimes it is the training provider that was an alma mater of the first coach within that organization. They know the quality, they know the accessibility, they really know that they are sourcing quality if they go to that provider. There are others who would create a pool of coaches at the global level. And for example, Boeing has that kind of approach. Their pool is managed centrally. However, they happen to be located everywhere where Boeing has its operations. And even if they don't, coaches are often sourced for specific skill, cultural sensitivity, or whatever that might be. And it's done centrally, oftentimes in conjunction with ICF. We do receive questions from multinational organizations saying, find me somebody in Mexico, we need somebody in Mexico. Okay, here's the roster. Because they believe that ICF credentialed coaches, that credential is a mark of quality and uniformity, if you will, across the world. And then there are some that, depending on their locality, they have closer relationship with a local coaching organizations. I'm thinking about Coca-Cola. They tend to be more localized in their outreach, especially for sourcing external coaches. So I think it depends on the culture of the organization, perhaps, maybe the size, maybe the scope, and yet I think that there is wisdom in having some kind of a centralized strategic approach to the coaching program within the organization.
Thank you, Magda. And of course, you have ICF chapters, you have ICF regional development teams who are happy to support you, or global offices as well. So we are coming to the top of the hour. So I really want to thank you all for being with us today. The time flew. It was so quickly done. So thank you so much, Anna, for being with us, for sharing your story, for celebrating the impact and the power of coaching in this pre-launch webinar series. We hope to see many of you back next week. So International Coaching Week starts on Monday, May the 17th until May the 23rd. There are plenty. We are approaching 1,000 events already available in 24 languages. So feel free to join us for any other session of your choice. Thank you so much for being with us, and see you very soon. Thank you, Magda. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Anna. And see you very soon.
Thank you.
Bye.